Okay, hi, hello, mabuhay. Welcome back to another episode of Krista's Curiosity. And if you've been following my podcast for this season, then you'll notice that I've been interviewing a lot of cool artists, community arts leaders, and like community organizers, because I think Seattle is a very like artistic city that not a lot of people know about. And today I have a very special guest because not only are they a festival producer, but they're also like a festival producer for Short Run Comix. And if you don't know what Short Run is, they focus on the medium of comics as a coalescence of art and literature. They believe in the intimate experience of holding a book in your hands. That's why they highlight artists from the Pacific Northwest and around the world who make alternative comics and self-published small press and handmade books of all kinds. Founded in 2011 to celebrate and support Seattle's lauded comics community, it has since become a year-round arts organization with an annual comics residency for non-binary and women artists, a monthly artist talk series, a micropress, educational workshops, and their most anticipated event, the Short Run Comix Festival, now in its 14th year. So you can learn more at shortrun.org, but I'm going to pass it off to Kelly Froh, who is the executive director that I will be talking with today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I am the, as you said, executive director, showrunner, and
She does it all.
Original co-founder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the last remaining co-founder. And Short Run has been around since 2011. And this is our 14th year. And I'm also a comic artist in my own right.
Yes.
Try to fit that in. I'm interested in talking with you today.
Okay. I'm going to read off of like what Kelly had sent me because she doesn't like to brag.
Didn't say anything.
Yes, but she's been nominated for a lot of things. Her comics and stories have appeared in The Stranger, the Seattle Weekly, Poetry Northwest, Moss, and the Women's Review of Books. She's also performed at the Hugo House's acclaimed literary series, Lit Crawl, On the Boards, April, and at Bumbershoot too. So can you tell us a little bit about like your background in comics and like festival producing, like what made you want to capitalize on Short Run in 2011?
Right. So being a comic artist, and even more so where I might have been published or where I've maybe done a reading, the most important part of my practice is really self-publishing and churning out those mini comics and zines whenever I can. That's the part that's really fulfilling to me. And so that is what I've really tried to hang on to and keep doing. And based on that experience of being a self-publisher, making mini comics, wanting to meet other people that do that, I started going to small comic shows with my boyfriend my boyfriend. And there is when I started looking around and seeing other people's work and finding women that were making comics that I thought were cool, and approached them and started making new friends that way in the scene. And so it was at the Olympia Comics Festival, actually, in maybe like 2009 or 2010, that I met people that would sort of change the trajectory of my life, because they were these cool artists that I wanted to befriend, and we decided to get together and have a drawing night. And I think we did a little drawing, but really we just started talking about we should do a festival similar to the Olympia Comics Festival, which is really centered on alternative comics and self-published and handmade comics. Mm-hmm. So that's different than like a more commercial Comic-Con. Yeah. So it's more like, people doing it themselves on the photocopier, or just like some more small batch comics that we were more interested in. And so from that point forward, our drawing nights became Short Run meetings as we decided to just do it. And when I think back, there was no forethought into what it might become. Would it become this annual event? Would it become important to Seattle? We just saw it as more of an art project in itself. Like, let's try this once. And in 2011, we had it here at the Vera Project, and 800 people showed up. And that's kind of a big deal for an unknown event that just popped up out of nowhere. And at the end, we looked at ourselves and we're like, oh my God, I guess we have to keep doing this. And then things kind of like really quickly grew. And we felt like we were almost forced to grow based on how many people were attending year by year. And
you had to meet the demand.
Yeah, we can't just cram people into too small a space, right? So the first 2 years we were at Vera, and then we moved to Washington Hall for 2 years. Then we were at Fisher Pavilion for 8 years. And then last year we moved to the Seattle Design Center in Georgetown. So, and then this is our 14th year. And I really never thought that I would continue to do this. But it's become a really important event for the comics community in Seattle. And so I sort of feel like I'll do it until I can't anymore.
Yeah, it's very underrated. Like, I feel like, I don't know, like I personally love comics. I like reading anything that's like mixed media with both words and like pictures, and I feel like a lot of people may look at that and think like, well, that's not like real literature, but I'm like, there's a lot of intentionality and thought that goes on between making stories like that. And I know that, and I see that because when I went to, I think 14th, okay, so like the 12th year at Fisher Pavilion 2 years ago, like it was like amazing to see like what like this community can be. And like I didn't go this year, but I will definitely have to go like this upcoming year.
Yeah.
At the Georgetown location that you guys have.
Yeah, definitely.
What would you say is like your like preferred like comic style then? And I only ask because the reason how I found Kelly is because I worked with the Seattle King County Clinic last year. I don't know if you can see it in frame, but I saw your name in the table of contents, and you have a very like distinct style that I like. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really proud of that project.
It's an amazing project.
So for I think like 4 years in a row, I went as a story collector at the Seattle King County Public Health Clinic that happened here on Seattle Center grounds. And so if not everybody knows, the free clinic happens once a year, and it's just a few days, and people come from all over and even other states where they either don't have health insurance or their health insurance doesn't match up with their needs. And they come very early in the morning, like 5:30 in the morning, to get like a ticket and to be seen. But they get top of the line healthcare, dental care, eye care, chiropractic care, mental health services. It's all there. And it's sort of a healthcare utopia for a few days, although you're going to be tired, sitting around waiting. But anyway, it's like this beautiful thing that the city does. And so then I was there amongst other cartoonists who are asking people how you found yourself here today. And the stories are all like incredibly different, right? Because all of our lives are very different and complex. And so the people that I met, all their stories were different. They sometimes had insurance, but then they didn't have dental insurance, or they had someone in their family that was like finally joining them and they didn't have their green card yet, and so they were not eligible for healthcare. There's all these gaps, as you're probably aware as a young adult. You just start facing all these holes you can fall into in the bureaucracy of healthcare and any government program. So and then whatever stories we gathered, I challenged myself to make them as succinct as possible in like a 4-panel comic. Yeah. And I think that I've succeeded in most cases. Yeah. But I really enjoy talking to people. I enjoy like unearthing problems that I think need to be addressed, should have been fixed. Yes. Right. And also, I'm getting up there too. Like I'm 51 years old now, and so I feel like I'm a participant in this healthcare system more than I'd like to be. And I see people all around me, elder adults and people who are having to care for parents and families. And I feel like as someone from Gen X, it's like my health is worsening, but also my parents' health is worsening, and it's a topic everywhere you go.
Yes.
So the comics that I've made recently, and that I'll probably be doing for the rest of my life, is about health, death, dying, just like. Let's talk about it.
The morbid stuff.
It is. It can be, but like. It's also just such it's just such a fact of life that talking about these things doesn't bring them closer to us. It doesn't ward off anything by not talking about it. So I've had some health issues where people are like, oh God, I didn't even know that happens, or that would happen so soon. So I really feel like we do kind of walk around. We skip around thinking, that
life is forever.
Yeah, like, come on. But I feel like we could be a little bit more realistic about things, maybe take the discussion of these things a little bit more seriously and prepare.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned like utopia, because so for this one, it's called Imagined, and it's basically a 4-panel comic that you had like drawn, and this lady had said like it shouldn't sound utopian to envision a free healthcare clinic that is open just once a year.
Yeah.
And like your theme is pretty like on point to what you had said now, even though like this was made like 10 years ago.
Oh yeah. Like that really kind of helped me form just like my general ideas about like what we really need to focus on in society, what's really lacking, what has been lacking for way too long. And comics, amazingly, like that brochure that you're holding.
Yes.
I shouldn't call it a brochure. That comic book that you're holding, they use that. They sent those to healthcare executives. They sent those to people in government that are making decisions about our healthcare. And during the meetings, they're looking through and they're reading comics.
I hope they're reading it.
That is like, do you know how you feel like you just can't get through to people sometimes? You just can't get through to politicians and they're not listening to you unless you say a party line. Force them to read a comic about something, and it's just going to like enter their mind a little bit differently, and it might break through some barrier they've already put up. If they already have certain ideas about healthcare, then suddenly they're reading these comics and they're like, oh, I didn't realize that the people that come to this clinic actually do have insurance and they're still not being served, right? So that's the power of comics, the power to educate, the power to just, make people aware of things, but also make people read them and they can relate to them. Oh, I was in that situation too. So I think it's really powerful that the public health department has used comics a lot in our city to show people how to stay healthy during the pandemic and lots of other reasons, how to try to keep flu at bay, what to do when there's a flood. Like, comics exist in our city to educate people about things that we're unfortunately have to deal with. So
I wanted to bring out another comic that you had made. It's called Aging Out too, and then another one which was called Sci-Fi, and each of them kind of deal with like the morbid reality of like what people have to face when they're trying to access like healthcare but can't. And I really liked your point about making politicians read like comics or kind of something similar to this, because you're right, I feel like it hopefully can break through to them in a way that like just words or like pictures like can't.
Oh yeah, like would you read a 50-page typed report, or would you want to look at that book in your hands? There's no question.
Yes.
So it is a meaningful, unique way of conveying information to people.
Yeah. So on the flip side of that, like I sent this question to Kelly yesterday, but like, what do you do when you're like creatively burnt out, when you like feel that creating comics is like more like not a burden, but more like it's taking out the fun and like what you were originally doing it for?
Yeah, I mean, that happens to a lot of artists, right?
Yeah.
Luckily for me, I don't make comics to make money. I do sometimes make money, you know, but that is not the main motivator for me.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I still get burnt out,
Yeah.
which is weird, but because I do comics for fun and
Yeah.
for like my personal expression.
Yeah.
But comics take a really long time.
Yes,
to
they do.
make. Yeah. And
It's a slow art form.
it's slow. And sometimes you feel like you can think about what kind of comic you want to make and you can get excited about it. But the thought of actually sitting down and penciling out the panels and drawing
It drives you crazy.
And drawing is always challenging, even for someone that like is a really good drawer.
Mm-hmm.
Figuring out how to draw in the space that you have, it takes a lot. And those of us who do make comics, we love it, and we're sort of committed in a. It feels almost biological. Like you make the decision that you're a comic artist, so this is now your burden. And you will make comics. And
Whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not, like you'll come back to it. So many people have said they will quit and they'll always come back, right?
Yeah.
I think with that, as artists, we just find how we like to express ourselves. And when you've chosen comics, you know, sorry to tell you this, it's going to be hard. A lot of people... people that do graphic novels and long form stories, they might work on those for 7 to 10 years.
Yes.
I mostly just do mini comics, so the most are maybe like 36 pages.
That's still a lot.
That's a lot. It's still a lot, right? It takes a really long time. And so it's very easy to feel burnout or just procrastinate because seems like a big task to have to do it. Although you have this story in your mind, you're like, dang, I have to get this out. And once you start penciling, it's all about like building momentum. And you break through that creative block, sort of. But yeah, my partner's a comic artist too, and we just like begrudgingly get to the drawing table. But then once we're there,
You stay there.
and the story starts coming together, and then you can't pull me away. You
Yeah.
know? I'll say like, oh no, I don't need dinner. You know, like, well,
Yes.
maybe not dinner, but like, I don't need to go out tonight.
I don't need to use the bathroom.
Yeah, like it gets crazy, right? Like it is a wonderful feeling, like, oh, it's flowing through me. And I love inking, for instance. So like the penciling is really challenging for me because sometimes I just really don't know how to draw things, or I'll draw it and I'll be like, that looks horrible. Erase, try again. I'll get frustrated. But when I get to the inking stage, and I use just like a dip pen in ink bottle, and that is very exciting to me, making those lines and doing that process. That like feels exciting to me. And so when I get to the inking, then you just really can't stop me. And then I get really excited about how it's going to look, how I'm going to format it, and how it's going to look. And then when you pull it off of the photocopier or you get it printed and it's in your hands, it's suddenly everything is worth it once you
See
have
the
actually
finished
made
product.
something.
Yeah.
The finished product. It's so exciting to know that you've done everything yourself.
Yes. I can definitely relate because I wrote something for Olivia's another like GZR member at Vera, and she has this paper blog that she runs, and she didn't ask, I offered to write like an album review for her, and like as like a writer, I was like, oh my God, this is so daunting. I don't know what to do. And then as soon as I started formatting and just kind of writing things out, like I had that same feeling of like, I can skip dinner, lunch, and breakfast. I can do this all. I don't need to use the bathroom. But yeah, it's always nice to see like the finished product of things.
Yeah. You just have to push through that tiredness or that procrastination. and get to the high of it, you
Yeah.
know, and because it is there, like if that's what you're kind of supposed to be doing, you know. I think that if you don't feel that way with drawing comics, look around. Maybe you should be a painter. You know, maybe it's not for you. But if you do feel like so good when you are drawing comics and you are making lots of progress and you really look forward to print it, I mean, that's it. That might be like what you're supposed to do. Right?
Yeah.
And not to say that's the only thing, that you can't do other mediums, but just don't force it. Is what I'm saying. Like, you got to love it.
Yeah. Okay, going back to the festival, what are some things that people can look forward to for this upcoming year's festival?
Yeah. Well, that's just kind of coming together.
Yeah.
But every year, I see every year is like a different chapter with like a different theme.
Yeah.
And although the template is the same of, you know, a bustling marketplace with 200 artists who've come from all over, and they each have table space for the day, and people walking down aisles and interacting with artists. What people don't necessarily see is like we choose like our special guests that sort of represent like what we feel is really kind of exciting at the moment, like art that's really exciting, or like a really unique style, or so we choose these special guests kind of early in the year, and that's kind of like our guiding light for the festival.
Yeah.
And then one of those special guests will create the poster for us, and then the poster is sort of another touch point where a lot of the design comes from that, and we just use that throughout the whole year. The fonts and the colors and everything just kind of come from that, so that every year looks a little bit different, and you can kind of be excited to see what the poster image will be, who are the special guests. And we also try to bring in other things that people can do when they're there. Our festival is known for people coming and staying for a few hours. And not only because it takes that long to go through all of the aisles, but that we have other stuff going on. And so whether that be Vera will bring like a bring it, screen it setup, you know, where there's hands-on screen printing demonstrations, and we have like a letterpress machine. Cornish did letterpress last year, zine making, button making activities for youth and adults. And then we also had a second floor for the first time in many years, and we built these cardboard displays and asked local zine clubs and drawing nights to donate and like a display of zines that can be perused throughout the day, like a little like reading library. And what we wanted to focus on is that though the artists on the floor, on the festival floor, you know, that is curated, where we want to have really quality art and, you know, like really unique and amazing books down there. But we also want people to think and to know that you can get involved in comics and zine making at any skill level. And so the reading libraries on the second floor, we're showing you that another important part is to gather in groups and draw and make things together.
And community.
So, yeah, whether that be a drink and draw at a bar or kids at a library that meet every afternoon. So yeah, we had the full range, you know, we had from adults to kids. Like Cleveland High School made the little, like, you know, 8-page folded zines, and they had tons of them, and then their teacher tabled and also sold them as like a fundraiser for art supplies for their school.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I did not even know. Sometimes I don't even know what's happening on the floor, on the fest floor, like what wonderful ideas they have for their space. But Yeah, and then we also had the common area maintenance bookmobile in the front of the building, a food truck, and there just is a lot going on. So when you do come, plan to stay for a few hours. I can't announce, I don't really have our special guests
That's
ready
okay.
yet. Like, yeah, it's still, I'm a little delayed because unfortunately, I had an eye surgery at the end of 2025, and it really took me out of service for a while. So it's a little bit of a late start, but that's why I love that our festival's at the end of the year. So it's like every year I have a whole year to put it together, right?
Yes. Yeah, I will definitely come by this year, and we'll probably do some coverage on it too.
Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah.
That would be great.
But to kind of close out this interview, like you kind of touched based on it earlier, but like what is like one way you want to see comics more and like the arts and culture scene in Seattle for this year and for like upcoming years?
Yeah. I think one of the most incredible things about Seattle is how many different scenes we do have.
Yeah.
And this has been the case since I got here in the 1900s, you know?
Okay.
Like, I got here in 1994, and I was like 19 or 20 years old. I'm like, okay, I'm about to start my adult life. Like, what am I going to do? Who am I, right? And at the time, and like, it's a little bit different now, but at the time in Seattle, I went to a bunch of plays, and then I went to a poetry slam, and then I would go dancing, and then I was very active as a young person, and I felt like every scene that I entered had a group of people at its core, right? These are the theater people, these are the poets, these are the music people, and of course music, and then it can just be subcategorized out. I think Seattle is still that place very much. And I think that the comic scene is just one small part of it. And it is small because, just to circle back, it takes a long time to make a new comic.
Yes.
And so Short Run is at the end of the year, and it's become like a wonderful exhale for the year. It's a deadline for people to finish new books, right?
Yes.
And premiere things. But the comic scene isn't one that is going to be able to like make and give you content all throughout the year. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, we don't have a huge program of stuff to do.
Yeah.
The cool thing is we have sort of a mid-year outdoor comics fair in front of the Fantagraphics store in Georgetown. That's called the Hot Off the Press Fair, and that's music and comics, second Saturday of July. And then at Hugo House, there's a drawing night every fourth Tuesday, and a lot of comic artists go to that.
When is Short Run's next festival this year?
Yes. So we're back at the Seattle Design Center in Georgetown on November 7th. So almost always it's going to be the first Saturday of November.
Yes.
We try to choose the rainiest, darkest day. No, I'm just kidding. It just happens to be. But yeah, hope to see y'all November 7th. It's free from 11 to 6 p.m.
Yes.
I'll see you there.
Yes. And we will cover most likely. Yes. Okay. Bye.